Welcome back. Just 2 months after 4 Americans were killed in a suicide attack in Syria, 5 ISIS fighters who could be linked to that attack are captured. This comes just 1 week after more than 3,000 ISIS fighters surrendered in Syria. So is this what winning the war on terror looks like? Here to talk about it is national security analyst Ryan Mauro. Thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate it.
Sure, thanks for having me.
So we have these 3,000 ISIS fighters surrendering. That's the good news here.
Right, and what's really so amazing to me about that is that these are individuals who joined the group with the intent to die. So apparently getting their butts kicked made them rethink their ideology to some degree, because what they've been thinking about 24/7 was die in the jihad and earn your ticket to paradise. And at this last moment, they said, I'm going to have some second thoughts here.
But at the same time, in January, we have the news that, these ISIS fighters killed, 19 individuals, including 4 Americans, perhaps not as senior involved, like the senior element of ISIS as originally thought, but still the ISIS fighters.
Right. So when there's a major attack, there can be different levels of operatives involved. But the bottom line is that these were operatives involved in some of the deadlier attacks that happened in ISIS that killed Americans, as it's currently believed. And that's a big victory. But overall, for me, I think it's the ideological victory here is just as important as the battlefield victory of taking territory away from them. Now the question is, after leaving ISIS and surrendering, are they just going to join Al-Qaeda if they're released? How far has their ideology shifted? Because they might have just given up on ISIS and looking to join someone else.
Yeah, changing allegiances, as we know, historically in the Middle East has occurred.
Sure.
You mentioned the territory, and let's take a look at this because this is remarkable. This is the Syrian territory under ISIS control as of 3 days ago. Okay, take a look at that. And now we have the Syrian territory under ISIS control today. That's remarkable.
Right. Yeah. And a lot of that is thanks to our Kurdish allies who, frankly, I think need to be treated a lot better than we've been treating them for a very long time. There's an alliance of Kurds, Christians, actually, and Sunni Arabs that came together and allied with the United States to fight ISIS. And those are the results that you're seeing on the screen.
Originally, there had been discussion of pulling all of our troops out. But now we are going to leave some behind to assist those Kurdish fighters.
And hopefully it's enough. The problem is that you do have Al-Qaeda-type jihadist groups that have essentially been building an army in Syria. There's a lot of terrorist groups, including those linked to Turkey, that want to fill that gap and are preparing for that day. And we've been mostly focused on ISIS. And that's kind of a pattern that we have where we get hyper-focused on one group, the group of the day, and then there's another group already preparing for the day that we defeat that first one. And I worry about that cycle continuing.
Yeah, leaving a vacuum in that area and allowing that other group to take control.
Absolutely.
Yeah, which we saw happen under the Obama administration. Let's talk about this, though. Elizabeth Warren, obviously, she's thrown her hat in the ring to run for 2020. She says that white supremacy is as big a threat as terrorist groups. Listen.
White supremacists pose a threat to the United States like any other terrorist group, like ISIS, like Al-Qaeda, and leadership starts at the top. And that means you've got to call it out.
Interesting, because I recall Republicans saying, over and over again, you've got to call it out. You have to call it a terrorist attack. So now she's trying to, I guess, take that and spin it. In reference to white supremacy, do you agree with her?
Well, I would say that white supremacy is a terrorist movement, and I've got to tell you, in recent years, I've seen what I've been calling the war of the extremes rise, where one extreme rises, and then you'll see left-wing and right-wing extremism rise with radical Islam, and they all fuel each other. I don't know if she was necessarily saying that they're all of equal strength, but the bottom line is I'm seeing white supremacists become more and more connected, forming more of a network, and that is something that we have to look to dismantle and take very seriously.
Yeah, she did say, they pose a threat to the United States like any other terrorist group. She's not saying that they're more important than any others, but she's saying, you do need to pay attention.
Right, but the hypocrisy that you point out is pretty amazing, though, where so many of us were screaming, you've got to call it radical Islam or the Islam side ideology, something so that you have an ideologically specific strategy. And then all of a sudden, now the same people that oppose that are like, you have to have a strategy calling out white supremacism.
Yeah, it's politics. What can you say?
It's frustrating.
And an election season coming up. Thank you so much. Great to have you with us. Well, the time now is about 18 minutes after the top of the hour. Lori Loughlin.